Welcome to episode 1 of the AFC video. This is going to be a new segment leading up to every major AFC event, which is of course every AFC event. And today we're going to preview some of the fights that you're about to see at AFC 8, which of course is on the 22nd of February.
Melbourne Pavilion.
There we go. How you doing? I'm Dwayne DeCuna with Joshy Warner, here today to bring you a couple of fighters.
Mate, we're very excited. We have some huge matchups at AFC 8. Matchmaker Adam Milinkovic, as per usual, puts together the best fight cards in Australia. Today, 3 big ones. We're going to start with what I call the bad blood fight. Corey Nelson, the Major, and Rick Alchin.
This is a huge welterweight fight coming in, right?
Big fight, man. Corey Nelson was borderline, well, he was actually in the finals of the welterweight tournament, scheduled to take on Jake Matthews. What happened has happened. Corey's hungry to get back in. Him and Rick Alchin do not like each other. Without going into all the gory details, there was a grappling contest at another association where Rick's people said he hammered Corey. Corey got wind of it, got very upset, and he's now basically said, I'm going to decapitate Rick in the AFC ring.
This probably would have been one of the fights that I earlier would have called as a striker versus BJJ fighter.
Spot on.
But given the bad blood now, I'm calling this a striker versus striker.
Well, you'd think so. I mean, Gracie Central Coast for Rick Alchin, his primary gym, very good jiu-jitsu gym, of course. Rick's got 6 submission victories so far. If he grabs an arm or a neck, can generally finish the fight. But when you get that adrenaline running through, when you see someone in front of you just want to, smash their face in, he might choose to stand. And against Corey Nelson, it's dangerous, man.
Well, let's flick over to some of the stats of the fighters right here. Corey Nelson, 14 wins, 4 losses, 10 by way of TKO or KO, 1 by way of submission, and 3 by decision. His losses, well, 1 by KO, 2 by submission, and 1 by decision.
Coming out of KMA top team there in Sydney, look, really good gym, high profile, good trainers. Brian Ebersole does some work out there. Notable fighters as well, looking at Shab Kafo, Oriel Gasset, Martin Nguyen. He's training with really good fighters every day, very important.
Rick Alchin, on the other hand, 6 wins, 7 losses, has not had a KO nor TKO. 6 wins, however, by submission, which is very impressive.
Leg triangles, rear naked chokes, dash chokes, you name it, he can submit it.
3 losses via KO, 3 losses via submission, and 1 decision. Fighting or associated with Gracie Central Coast, welterweight BJJ fighter from Australia.
Alright, for me this one, Dwayne, it really comes down to what mindset both fighters are in. I know for a fact that if you listen to Corey Nelson's interview podcast, he has said that he will give up a percentage of his fight purse if he cannot KO Rick Alchin.
I don't know if I like that. I mean, yes, I admire it and I think it's a great thing to say, but on one hand that's true. On the other hand, I kind of sit back and go, well, is that blocking your mind? Are you already thinking that I'm just going to come out? I mean, I believe his words were on our podcast, round 1 punish, round 2 knockout.
But you got to also think Rick Alchin's sort of going to know what Corey's going for now. It's knockout or nothing. And if he wins the fight by submission or decision, he loses $500.
I think he would have known that anyway, right? He would. That was always going to be his fight strategy.
Don't underestimate Corey Nelson's jiu-jitsu background as well. I mean, he can grapple, but it seems pretty obvious now. What I was also surprised with was though that Rick came out and said, "Oh, bang, whatever, man, let's go."
Yeah,
and Rick's strength, and I admire him and I respect him, and I like the fact that he's a transitional fighter and he's doing the Muay Thai and the wrestling and the boxing now. Rick's strength is jiu-jitsu. If he wants to win this fight, he has to submit Corey Nelson.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if he wants to actually win this fight, he's got to block out all the hype that's come into this, take it to the ground, execute his game plan, and go for it.
He can throw and dump. He's got a judo background. There's a judo there. He can initiate good takedowns and hurt people. And as we both know, when your back hits those mats, that stings, man. So,
well, there's an old saying: hit a black belt, it becomes a brown belt. Hit a brown belt, it becomes a purple belt. And that's got to be the plan of Corey over here. If it does go to the ground, he's got to strike hard and strike quick, and don't give Rick time to set things up.
Spot on, man.
So the next fight that we're going to be looking at today is, of course, Joel Fisher versus Aiden Barron.
A really good bantamweight fight here. Joel Fisher, Extreme MMA, probably one of the more high-profile emerging bantamweight fighters in the AFC right now. Gonna butt heads though with a clinical Muay Thai kickboxer.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no doubt though that the fans love Joel. From what we've seen,
they do, man.
People right behind him. He is going to go head-to-head with, well, I guess your wording was absolutely right, just a clinical, another striker. I mean, I love this AFC card. We just seem to keep fighting striker versus striker, one after the other.
We do.
You know, and this is going to be another one where we have 2 guys with a, let's call it a smaller professional career
Yeah.
in MMA
Yeah.
that are coming out to prove something to themselves.
Yeah, what we've got here is we've got two really good professional kickboxers. Now, Joel's had a heap of kickboxing fights. Aiden through Phuket top team, good kickboxing background as well. This could be shin on shin all night.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, are they going to want to go shin on shin all night? Now, I'd probably say Joel's all-round mixed martial arts game is a little bit better. So he might have the advantage to either turn it into a grappling match or a jiu-jitsu fight. Having said that, Aiden, also doing some work at Gracie Central Coast, has that pinnacle as well. So this could go anywhere.
Both the interviews with these guys kind of said that they're not coming with a game plan. They're just training hard and they're going to come in and fight. So I see this actually being a true MMA fight in that someone's not going to tie it up on the ropes the whole night or just sprawl and hop up and try to keep it standing. They're going to go where the fight goes because they both need to prove, and we need to see where they can go in all parts of the game.
Spot on. Look, both got really good teams too. Extreme MMA, Joel Fisher training with the Rodolfo Marquez's every day. Phuket top team for Aiden. Robbie Lacida's out there. There's a bunch of American guys out there. Good wrestling school. Unreal. What I was really surprised with was that Aiden Barron did a really good interview. Well-spoken, polite. Like the sort of guy that, if you're a mully, you want your daughter to marry. The next day, he comes out on Facebook and says, I had this dream where Fisher gave me his back and I pretty much pounded his face in and the ref wouldn't stop the fight. There was blood everywhere and it was like, dude.
You didn't seem to worry Fearless too much though.
Well, I brought it up to Joel in the interview and sort of said, what do you reckon, bro? And he was like, I don't care, man. Like, I'm not going to give him my back and, he's dreaming, keep dreaming. So, a little bit of bad blood building up. Cracking fight.
Alright, well let's go ahead and go across to the actual fight cards, to the fighter profiles and have a look about it.
Beautiful.
Joel Fisher, 1 win, 1 loss. Obviously his win was by decision, his loss was also by decision. Associated with Extreme MMA, he's a bantamweight fighter and we think, well, from what we've seen so far, he's definitely a striker.
Yeah, and with Joel's loss as well, don't underestimate the fact that he did fight Jordan Showtime Lucas, so, big names there.
Yeah. Aiden Barron, on the other hand, again, 1 win, 0 losses. His win coming via submission, associated with Phuket top team. I mean, obviously fighting, while spending time in Thailand and fighting, he's going to lift your Muay Thai game without a doubt.
Yep.
Bantamweight again, and Australia via Thailand.
Yeah, look, this is an intriguing fight. We know there's some bantamweight action going on with the AFC at the moment. Adam Milinkovic again put together some good tournaments late last year. That'll happen again later in the year. Look, I'd go on a limb and almost say that, one of these guys could very well be in that final bantamweight tournament fight to crown our first bantamweight champion.
There you have it. Some stats brought to you by GNC before we move on to the next event of the night.
Alright, fight fans, next fight, another huge bantamweight contest. Alex the Hulk Volkanovski against Rodolfo Nightmare Marquez.
I mean, this is awesome. And again, thanks to the Sleep Doctor for bringing us this fight.
I love this fight, man. This is a really, really good fight. Rodolfo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, tough as nails. He said some interesting things in his interviews. It was sort of like, Rodolfo, you're a black belt, only got the 1 sub victory. What's the go, bro? And he was sort of like, I like to ground people down, man. I just like to bash them into the ground.
Sometimes you do that, right? And I think you can't mistake being a good jiu-jitsu fighter purely on submissions.
True.
I mean, the 10th planet where we train, they focus a lot on sweeping and controlling your position there. And in the MMA game, a sweep is as powerful as any submission, in my opinion.
No doubt at all. You just think, though, for a guy that's such a high-level black belt, that there'd be more submissions in his game.
Yeah.
On the flip side, the Hulk Volkanovski.
What a striker, man.
It's huge. Look, that raises an interesting point. This is a bantamweight fight.
Yeah.
AFC 5. Volkanovski fought Corey Nelson at welterweight.
Yeah.
We're now at bantamweight. For those who don't understand, that's like 3 weight classes. And he's a big dude. Rugby background, traps, shoulders, biceps, rest of it.
What are your thoughts on a cut that heavy? Look, because I'm into cutting correctly. I'm more of a fan of walking around at your weight. Ideally, that's where I think
I would love MMA
at.
to be walk around weight is a weight that you fight.
Yeah.
But there's too many people that cut 20, 30 pounds. The advantage is too big. Now look for the Hulk. He's fighting at a good gym. He's got good people around him. I'm sure he'll cut properly. It does concern me a little bit given that we know Rodolfo likes to go the distance, likes that grounding, sweaty style if his gas tank's going to be on F for 3-4 rounds.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, that's very interesting, Josh. Let's flick across to the stats real quickly and we'll come back into a little bit more of a discussion over here.
Yeah, boy the Hulk, 3 wins, 1 loss, 2 KOs, 1 decision in those wins. His losses are by KO or /TKO. freestyle fighting gym there in Sydney. Very good gym. Bantamweight fighter currently, and I would say he's definitely a striker.
Rodolfo the Nightmare Marquez, 15 wins, 3 losses. Certainly the person showing more experience in this fight. 4 wins coming via KO, TKO, 1 via submission, 10 via decision. His losses, 1 from KO, 0 submission losses, and 2 via decision. He's obviously associated with Tate Boxing and
Extreme MMA, Nova Uneo.
And he's a featherweight fighter. Look, I've listed him as a BJJ fighter, but I've also listed him as a mixed fighter just through the experience he's shown, obviously coming out through Brazil.
Yeah, look, AFC 6 was a difficult night for Rodolfo. He got stopped by Robbie Laceda. There's no shame in that at all. When I interviewed him a few weeks ago, he was sort of saying, I had to go back to square one. I had to go back to safety. I didn't want to lose twice in a row. What we're going to see now, he's got back on the winnings list. He's fighting a guy that he has much more experience than. He's a much better grappler than, and we all know that. What does he do?
Look, I see this fight going to the ground. I mean, the only other variance that we have, unfortunately, in Melbourne is that it's in a ring and not a cage.
Very true.
And that, of course, makes taking the fight to the ground a lot harder. We've seen this on numerous fights. Dean Purdon fell through the ropes on one fight and got rested back up. So,
Caracare, France.
Right, so this is something that obviously is a challenge in Melbourne.
Absolutely.
And for the supporters out there, get on and push the local government to get the cage into
Have
Melbourne.
a look on the AFC webpage and also the AFC Facebook page as well. We've got a really good video of the Gustavo Kia France fight where you actually see him fall through the ropes and dong his head on the ring bell. So, yeah. I mean, enough's enough, surely. But it's a good point because that grounding style doesn't work as well in a 4-rope ring.
Yeah, unless you get it to the corner, it's not going to work anywhere as well for you.
Spot on.
Yeah.
For Alex, look, I don't know how he wins this fight. I know he can win it, and I'm not saying that he can't win it. I don't know how he wins it because, you know, he's not going to win a judge battle.
He's got to catch him coming in.
And if anything, look, Rodolfo's chin isn't a bad chin, but Laceda tested it and stopped him. So if he gets that massive, massive punch right on the button, that's how he wins this fight. If it goes to 3 rounds, I'm worried about the gas tank. I'm really worried about the cut.
Look, particularly with a big weight cut like that, I would have backed him at maybe a slightly heavier weight.
It is a lightweight or welterweight fight. All day is a red-hot chance, but at bantamweight, Rodolfo's weight, Rodolfo's style of fight, he has to catch him.
I think the Hulk's got a big chance here. I mean,
well,
you can catch people, and you can catch them really quick, and the jab is a hugely underutilized weapon here. And if he throws that jab and just stops that shot from coming in and follows it up by a knee when Rodolfo's trying to shoot and come in, anything can change.
He has fought 12 rounds in 4 fights. So he's fought a number of rounds, so his cardio must be great.
But they were in bantamweight divisions.
Fair call, but the cardio's cardio, man.
Yeah.
And so I think, look, this is why I'm so excited by this fight, because I just don't know. You know, you almost think Rodolfo too experienced, you know, Alex too strong. Man, draw a line in the middle and let these two smash it out, I say.
Well, cool. Thanks for tuning in to our first episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to have another episode coming out with the rest of the reviews or previews for the fight cards to come.
Big interviews coming this week as well. We get onto the heavy hitters. We go to the main event shortly. Treco, Nick Banjo Patterson. You don't want to miss the Banjo interview. I'm telling you, I spoke to him yesterday. It was fantastic. He's gone a little bit, not Charles Sonnen, because Charles Sonnen is Charles Sonnen, but he had a little bit of a stab at certain things, a bit of a crack at Treco, a bit of a crack at the UFC. Banjo's on fire.
Alright, we thank once again Sleep Doctor, Uni Finance, GNC and Pump Fuel. Stay tuned for our next episode. Check out our Facebook, Twitter and our podcast, which is coming out twice a week at the moment, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks, guys.